It's time for an inspection. I'm going to go over what I look for in my car before I take it to the shop, which does not include all of the inspection points. My wife and I, we just have fun when we go out. We look for expired inspection stickers. In Virginia, you don't even have to see the numbers. You look at the color. So you look at the color of the sticker. Red is going to expire in 2021, and then when you can see the 5. So I have 31 days this month to get it inspected, not counting the weekends, because usually the shops don't work on the weekends. But anyway, so we look for expired tags. Usually when we pull into a parking space, we look at the car across from us, because it's absolutely amazing to us how many tags are expired. You know, I'll show you ours. They're 23. It's 21 now. But it's just, and they're color coded too. But it's just absolutely amazing to me how many tags and inspection stickers we see that are expired. So again, it's just a fun game we play. You know, we don't care if you don't get your car inspected. Anyway, so one of the first things I do is I check the air cleaner. See how that's doing. Make sure it's everything's a-okay there. It's not full of leaves, dust, dirt, crap. Needs to be changed. So that's one of the things I do, but that is not on the inspection form. Alright, I'm getting ready to screw the air cleaner down. I just had a thought, why do I do all this? Well, for one thing, I don't like to be surprised when I go to have the car inspected. I don't want to get there and then have them say, you need tires. So I go to get a $20 inspection and I'm looking at a $1,000 bill to put 4 new tires on the car. Well, it's damn close to $1,000 if it's not over for 4 tires, at least on my vehicles. So, you know, it's just to try and prevent surprises. I really haven't run into shady mechanics that try and take your money and tell you things that are wrong that aren't wrong. I really haven't dealt with that. So I hear stories about it, but I've never personally experienced it. Maybe it's because of the shops I choose and I do 99% of the work myself. So anyway, it's just kind of that. It's to avoid surprises or going there with the knowledge. Ooh, the tires are real close to the line. They may pass or they may not pass. State inspectors are highly regulated and checked out in Virginia. So, you know, unless you're going to a shady one and throwing them extra money so it'll pass your car or something stupid like that, I would say that 99.99999% of the inspectors in the state of Virginia are just honest mechanics telling you the truth. Alright, I have some dust on the vehicle. I'll clean all that off. I'll wipe it off. Typically, when I wash the car, every once in a while, I'll just open up the hood and spray it off, get it all nice and clean. Check for debris. I've already cleaned out the leaves and tree parts that have gotten into the engine. Not much. It's garage kept, so that makes life a whole lot easier. So, with new cars like this one, geez, I mean, that's about it under the hood. I mean, there's not even a dipstick. So it's just kind of cleanliness, air cleaner, windshield washer fluid. My wife loves to tease me about windshield washer fluid. I make sure that they're full all the time. So, you know, kind of silly like that. Now you may see sometimes on some of my videos, I am not cheap with car parts as far as like OEM rotors and brake pads, and you know, I'll spend extra money on this or that, or should I say there are less expensive parts for vehicles and whatnot like that. And here's one, windshield washer fluid. Well, when I was growing up, you know, it was 50 cents, and it's $1, then it jumped from $1 to $2. So I think that's ridiculous. So I make my own. This is all made. I have some blue dye and I put just like a teaspoon, maybe a tablespoon at the most, of some Dawn dishwashing liquid, and the rest is water. And that's all I put in there. You know, I'm not worried about dish soap getting on the car and messing up the finish and all that. You don't wash your car with dish soap. But the wipers, I put dish soap on there to try and help get the bug hits off of there. So that's what I do with windshield washer fluids. I have to use a short-nosed funnel. So let me put in there my home brew here that I've been using for many years, and it hasn't messed up my cars. Oh, there it goes, running out. I don't have to worry that it's really expensive stuff. Having said that, sometimes in the winter I'll use the Rain-X. I've found that the orange colored Rain-X in the wintertime, if we're having a harsh winter and a lot of snow and ice, works great. Other than that, I'm being cheap, using my home brew for the windshield washer fluid reservoir. Well, what else do you need to know about your reservoir? It cleans the windshield. One of the inspection points is glazing. So on your windshield, you need to make sure there's no cracks, that any rocks that hit it. If there is a star, you need to make sure it's not in your visual range. So those are like inspection points. Your wipers, you want to check your wipers. It can't be split, cracked. It can't be folded over. So, you know, if you just want to wipe them off, make sure they're clean. Am I even in camera here? Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. So, you know, you just take your rag, you know, wipe them off. I don't care how many times you clean it, it's always going to mess up your rag and get it dirty here. See? You know, there's always going to be something on there just because it's black rubber. So clean your wiper blades. That also allows you to inspect them. Make sure they're okay for the inspector to view them. Now I am going to stick the camera around the tires and brakes and show you that how to look at them. You know, if you're not a mechanic, don't know anything about cars, just drive them, whatever. But you can check them before inspection so there's no surprises. Anyway, brake fluid on this vehicle is kind of tough to access. But my whole point is, so most reservoirs are exposed, unlike this one, which is hidden. But you can always take the cap off and look down into the container. You can look at the fluid level. Do not add fluid, because that'll indicate how much your brakes have been used. If it's down low, you know your brakes are used. If it's up high, you know your brakes are good. Because it's going to be extremely difficult to see them without taking the wheel off. So I'll show you a couple of tricks with inspecting your brakes. But your fluid level is another indication. I would only add fluid if you know there's a leak, see a puddle on the ground, or your brake pedal's kind of funky and it's really low. You top it off to try and get to the repair shop, something like that. Otherwise, you should not ever have to add fluid to the vehicle. If it's low, you're low on brakes. Your brake pad lining is low. The only other thing is coolant. All right, another liquid in your engine is coolant. So this is also hidden in the Volvo, again with the engine cold, because this is a pressurized system. A lot of older American cars are open to atmosphere, so if you open it up you'll hear a hissing, maybe. But on these cars you will definitely hear a hissing if it's warm. So you want to be careful Make sure the engine is cold. These caps are safety caps, so they might seem funny when you unscrew them. Look down in there, see your level, or if it's exposed, look at your level, maybe top it off with a little distilled water or 50-50 mix of coolant. For Volvos, you need to be very careful of your coolant. You need to use a specific kind of coolant. Throughout the history, they have two kinds of coolant. So I think this is the ITA coolant. It's green in color. So you just want to know what your coolant is if you add coolant, or you can just top it off with distilled water. But I will say in the owner's manual, it says to use coolant and not to just top it off with distilled water, believe it or not. So it says don't do what I do. All right. Before and after. So as you can see, I'm not the great painter. It's not a masterpiece. I'm not an auto detailer. It's just, I can't see those things. You know, it's black on black. So I paint them so I can see them. Problem solved. You know, some things I won't do. I won't paint that Volvo right there. Let's see. I did hit the brake reservoir though. So I did hit that guy too, so that's pretty easy. So you like my inspection video? It's really about before I take the car to get a state inspection sticker. So let's move on to the tires and brakes. Those are the big things. Alright, let's look at the money shot here. These are the big money. I don't care how small or large your car is, how expensive it is or how cheap it is. Tires and brakes are going to be your biggest expenses. They're consumed. Your brake pad lining, 330 seconds. That is 330 seconds. If you look on a brake pad, you can see a little chamfer right here. Let's see if I can get it. You can see that it's chamfered. These are used pads. When that chamfer goes away and it starts eating into the solid part of the brake pad, that's usually when I start to change the pads. That's why I have these kind of spares. This one caught me off guard. It was a little bit larger than I expected. The bevel wasn't cut as deep as I thought it was. But anyway, I just kind of have these as spares in case I get caught off guard, because I was caught off guard one time. I measured a 1/4 inch, and as you can see, 330 seconds is not much. So I measured a 1/4 inch, but he measured 330 seconds, and you are not going to fight an inspector, I promise you that. I mean, they are not going to give in if they call it out. And I assure you, everybody's on their side, not yours. But as you can see, 330 seconds, hardly nothing. Here it is on a scale. Thin line. I mean, your pads are going to be really low if he calls them out. I mean, there's going to be no way they are going to look like this and they'll be called out. So, but anyway, that bevel is a good guide. If you don't see that bevel anymore, when you try and get your flashlight in here and peek in there and see everything without taking the wheel off and see where your pads are, that's going to be an indication. Seeing how far it's into the caliper here, that's really not a good guide. You can look and see, but you know, you got the thickness of the metal and you got the thickness of the pad, and you know, you're thinking, well, if it's new, it's all the way out to the edge there and I can still see it, it's barely in. All of that kind of stuff is a little bit iffy. You really need to try and do your best to get in there and look. And if you see that bevel on there, you know you're good. Otherwise, you're going to have to jack up the car and take off the tire. Now let's talk about tread wear. What you can do with tread wear is you can run your finger down the tread and feel the bump. And then once you feel the bump, which is the tread line indicator, you know, you can see, you can feel, oh, it's doing okay. Yeah, I got plenty of tire there before it gets to the tread wear indicator. Also, for the front wheels, you can get in the car and turn the wheel and physically look at the treads. You can't at the back unless you're laying on the ground. And stick your head up underneath the car and look at the treads. Also, the front wheels, you should turn them in both directions. Make sure you're not getting any unusual wear. Make sure that the ends aren't being consumed, and you need a front end alignment. Down here you have a tire pressure monitor on most newer vehicles. And what you want to do is you want to check your tire pressure. Oh, but the light's not on. Yeah, what you want to do is you want to check your tire pressure. So you take this little cap off here, you put your gauge on there, see what it is, and you get them all the same according to your gauge. Now, gauges are different. There's precision and accuracy. There's high quality gauge that might be precise but not accurate. There's low quality gauges, they might be accurate, not precise. You know, it just goes on and on and on. The main thing is to shoot for the target and get them all the same all the way around. It's only going to be a pound here, a pound there, up, down, doesn't matter. As long as they're all the same. And the recommended tire pressure should be on the sticker on the door. So you go to your door, usually driver's side door. I'll say always driver's side door. There's your tire size and your tire pressure. Now if you've changed it, even if you've changed from wheel size from like 20 to 18 or something like that, your tire pressures are probably still going to be the same. It says 36, put 36 in it. But if you do change your wheels, just be sure and understand that if there's a pressure change, you may have to reset your TPS monitor system. Okay, mirrors, you've got 3 of them. You've got 1 inside, 2 outside, typically. Sometimes there's only 1 outside mirror, but on new cars, they all come with 2 that I know of, that I can think of. But anyway, mirrors, that's an inspection point. Make sure they're not fogged over, make sure they're not all chipping off. I have had to replace mirrors before. I wasn't told by an inspector that they failed, but I noticed when they started chipping and wearing and fogging up, I just have replaced them. All right, all glass, you know, if you have problems with any glass, they can call it out. It's not just your front windshield, so check all your windows. Also, you can see a sticker there. Be careful with stickers, you know, sometimes they are in the wrong place, and certain states have certain laws about where you can put your stickers, and they call it intrusive or obscured visibility, I should say, and you can get in trouble if you put your sticker in the wrong place. All right, lights, all of your lights. If there's a light, it's supposed to be checked. All lights must function. If you have fog lights, the fog lights have to work. Even if you live somewhere where there's never, ever, 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 ever any fog ever, if you have fog lights, they have to work. So, all your lights have to work. And they have to work as brake lights, and then as running lights, and then as headlights on to be, you know, visible, night visibility. Also, another game we play besides the expired plates and inspection stickers, we have a game called Brake Light Out. And I was going to make a video where I just said brake light out 100,000 times in the video, because I have like 80, 90, 100 pictures of vehicles where they only have one or two brake lights functioning instead of all three. And speaking of all three, I've had two issues with the third brake light. This is called the third brake light. My father-in-law's Toyota Avalon, the unit went out. It would function sometimes. It would always function when I had it in the garage looking at it, and it would not function when the inspector looked at it. It drove me nuts. I finally got it to fail in front of me and saw that, yep, he was right. He wasn't lying to me. So I had to replace that. Did a video on it. Anyway, gosh, that was kind of expensive. But it was expensive. If the shop wanted to do it was like $450 because the whole shelf had to come off. The Camry, you just lift it up, swap it out, end of story. The Toyota Avalon, you had to take the back seats out. It was just insane. But anyway, the other issue I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it had light bulbs in it. These are all LED, so the chances of one of those failing is slim. However, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, I believe, had 3 bulbs in it, and one of the bulbs went out. And it gave me an indication that I had a failed brake light, you know, brake lamp failure. And I couldn't figure it out. And then I eventually did, of course. And then I also had even an older car where it just had one bulb in it for the third brake light, and it failed, and it was really old. It didn't tell me brake light out, you know, and so I didn't even realize that the third brake light was out. So anyway, I have had issues with the third brake light. So if you get a brake light out warning indication, check all 3. The 2 on the ends, the normal ones that I think of, and then the one in the middle. All right, I need to look this up, but it says wheels inspected, and they have all 4 checked. So they could have checked all 4 wheels, meaning tires and brakes. Now I know in Virginia what they do is typically they'll pull one front and one rear and inspect the brakes, and if they're thick, you know, not close to the 3/32, then they will put the wheels back on and call the brakes good. That's how they used to do it. I was surprised I saw all 4 wheels inspected. Again, I need to look that up and see what it really means. Now, I'm sure they inspect all 4 wheels for tread wear and even tread wear. Like I said, you know, you need to check all 4 of your tires for tread depth. Make sure you have depth to them so that you're not surprised if they say you need new tires. And it also allows you to look for wear. Now the rear rarely messes up on you. The front, there's plenty to go wrong on the front. You can have unusual wear characteristics, but don't think you're going to get away with putting the front on the back to hide those things. It's not going to work in Virginia that I know of. Wheels inspected. They got right front, right rear, left rear. They check 2 or 4 of those boxes. Then there's brakes, headlights, signal lights, other lights, steering, suspension, exhaust system, fuel system, tires, hood latch, emission control, windshield, windshield wipers, other glass, mirrors, doors, seats, seat belts, floor pan, defroster, horn. Now the defroster is your front defroster. That has to work. Floor pan, you know, you can't be Fred Flintstone, basically, is what it boils down to. You can't put your feet onto the ground. And so that's that. Seat belts, they have to function properly. I don't know if they check them all. I don't think so. I think driver and passenger at the most. Doors, I don't know what that means. Mirror, I think it needs to be there. Your rear view mirror has to be firmly attached and not fogged up or peeling. And that gets us to windshield and windshield wipers. I mentioned about those. You can have chips and cracks and all kinds of defects in there, but they can't be in a certain place. That's the issue there. Wipers, you'll know if you need new wipers. Emission control, out where I live, there is no test. They don't shove a hose up the exhaust pipe and check where I live. But in Alexandria, I don't even think in Tidewater, but at least in Alexandria, they do stick a hose up the tailpipe and make sure everything's functioning properly. As a matter of fact, you can have a check engine light on when you get your state inspection here where I live, because this is a safety inspection. So, but I would think that you cannot have a check engine light on in an area where they do the exhaust emissions test. I'm not 100% on that one. Steering and suspension, the wheels have to go right and left. The suspension, you can't have a bad shock where it's like squatted down in the back or, you know, making a lot of noise in the front. And that's about it. They go through most of these things pretty quickly. I would say from the time the inspector comes out to get your car to the time you get it back is about a half an hour. Because don't forget, they're only getting paid $20. And they're not really looking for work. They don't want to find a bunch of crap and they come out there and say, oh, you need new brakes, that's going to be, you know, $800, thank you very much. And, you know, and if you don't get it done here, we're going to put a reject sticker on your car. No, believe me, I've taken cars to all kinds of places and they found things wrong and I either fixed it myself or like a light bulb out, paid them the $5, you know, $3 to $5 to replace the light bulb, you know, no big deal. So state inspection is not a huge deal in Virginia. And of course my cars are in decent shape. Again, I have been caught with things that are wrong, I missed, which is not a big deal. You know, hey, like I said, 99.99999% of the inspectors are honest. So anyway, just give your car the once over before you go down there. You really don't want to be surprised with $800 brake job, $1,000 tire replacement, you know, a $5 light bulb, no big deal. Wiper blades, they can get expensive. They're like $40-50 on this car. There are some cheapy ones out there. I think you can get some for $10. Those are the old days. They're gone though. Anyway, good luck and don't let your inspection sticker expire. Don't fear a rejection sticker. You can drive home, fix it, drive back, no big deal. It just may be a timing issue. Because when you get back, the inspector's busy and now you got to wait. So it's kind of a waste of your time. But anyway, don't fear them. Have a safe trip. Thank you for watching.